the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president know you were going to do
OMB.
this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. I personally just, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot.
That exchange between Senator John Kennedy and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem on Tuesday reportedly angering President Trump and making him question whether he should fire Noem. Here to break down all of this is the Hill's White House columnist Niall Stanage. Now, this reporting coming from Punchbowl News, which says the president is upset that Noem appeared to say he had a personal say in the ad's approval. The DHS secretary has dealt with plenty of firestorms. Why is this one seemingly one step too far for President Trump?
Well, it would appear to be because it goes directly toward him and his involvement in these ads, which this was an ad campaign that reportedly cost, I believe, more than $200 million. And there are questions around whether that process for bidding to get those ads was as open as it should have been, or, the supposition is that whether the ads were directed to companies that had some kind of pre-existing relationship. I don't think President Trump wants to be in the middle of all that. And so even though Secretary Noem has been involved in much more substantive controversial topics, this one seems to be getting some traction in the White House.
All this, of course, is coming as DHS is nearing almost 3 weeks of being shut down. How could that play into the president's decision of whether or not to fire Noem?
So there's certainly speculation on the Republican side that they don't want to hand Democrats a weapon while the funding or lack of funding for the Department of Homeland Security is part of this political debate we're seeing going on in the building behind me on Capitol Hill. So that could play some role in all of this. But again, there are so many different components and cross currents in this, Judy. All of them are important.
So far, while the president has certainly been upset with different members of his cabinet for different reasons, unlike his first term, he so far has restrained himself from firing anyone. Could this time be different? And if not, why is that the case?
So I think what we've seen in the second term so far is President Trump being very reluctant to fire people because he doesn't want to appear to be giving the media a scalp. Now, the question is whether Secretary Noem's performance over quite a long period of time is below par enough for him to decide that she's actually damaging to him. Obviously, we know that predicting President Trump's actions in any respect is a bit of a fool's errand, but certainly there has been speculation around Secretary Noem and what I think is widely viewed as a sort of ineffective performance as secretary on her part.
Is there anything we should be watching for, Niall, on either Trump or Noem's sides to see if things have cooled off or whether this could truly be the end for the DHS secretary?
Obviously, we always watch what the president says publicly or says on his Truth Social accounts. Now, sometimes we have seen when members of his administration are under attack or under criticism, he does come out and defends them in a pretty full-throated, full-hearted manner. But will that happen with Secretary Noem? I think if that doesn't happen, that would be a bad sign for her.
The Hill's White House columnist Niall Stanage, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Judy.